Do you want to align with God's vibes, adapt to a spirit-led lifestyle, and live out of the fullness of God's plans and purposes for your life? This podcast is for you. The good news I have for you is that your time is now. It's time to transform self-sabotage into self-mastery and revolutionize your world. If you're ready to go beyond the ordinary and break out into the extraordinary life God designed for you, you're in the right place. In the God's Vibes podcast, you will find the freedom and permission to stop chasing success the world's way and simply be who God formed, shaped, and anointed you to be. My name is Juliana Page, and my mission is to lead you on the ultimate adventure, aligning and tracking with God so you can radically transform your life from the inside out and build spirit-driven success. Using life coaching and biblical and prophetic teaching, I'll show you what it means to dwell in the good land God ordained for your life and train you to be a powerful person who is a walking testimony of what's possible with God. Subscribe to God's Vibes for spirit-filled real talk, hard-hitting truth with a humorous touch that will help you discover who you are in God, dare to press through your seeming limitations, and chart a divine path that will renew your dreams and transform your future. It's time to experience true freedom through courage, faith, and self-mastery. I dare you to step out in faith and courageously dive into the purposeful life of trusting God for the impossible. Let's go. Welcome back to the God's Vibes podcast. Hello, hello. Special shout out to everybody who joined us for the Spirit Driven Success Life Coach Certification Roundtable. This was a celebration for all of the coach graduates. It was also a great time to hear directly from them about what their experience was, ask questions. It was just a time. Some of us stayed on there for 3 hours plus. So the passion is real. We had such a great time, and there will be an episode coming up if you missed out on that. But thank you for those that joined. Y'all can hang. We had such a great time. So thank you for joining us. And if you are interested in the Spirit Driven Success Life Coach Certification Program, applications close on Friday, June 21st. So if you have not applied yet, this is your window to apply and get on the wait list. Now, we do also offer financing, but you have to apply in order to be even considered for that as well. Okay, so this is your opportunity to join us. We officially start July 8th. So if you are called to coach, I encourage you to apply. We have information sessions recorded. So if you go to www.courageco.org and you go into a section, it's called Apply for the Spirit Driven Success Life Coach Certification Program. If you follow those steps, you will see recordings. You can also email info@julianapage.com and we can email you one of the live info sessions and we can share all the links to make sure that you have everything. So if you are led to join us, definitely pray about it. But if you're really moved to join us, we'll make sure to guide you into those next steps. All right. And today we have a special guest interview. We're going to talk with Susie about her experience in the program. So without further ado, let's dive in.
I am a daughter of God first, mother of 4, grandmother of almost 6, married.
Wow.
And just busy with, we farm, bookkeeping, and of course, all things God.
I love, but the fun thing too is that wasn't always your story. So give them a little bit of backstory.
Okay, backstory. Yes, I was raised in religion and followed, the protocols of religion, but never really had an intimate relationship with God. When I needed him, of course, I asked for help.
Yes.
But never really heard anything. And in 2020, I became certified as life coaching, but it didn't quite feel right. And then I never really did anything with it.
Yeah.
I've lived my, entire life doing things, but not doing things with God in them,
Yeah.
doing self-help, self-help stuff, not God help. And then there was a personal life big transition. And I literally got down on my knees and begged God to help. And luckily found a few people around me. One person gave me a Bible, and I'm like, oh, okay. I've seen Bibles, I've opened Bibles, but never really read them. And so that's where my real relationship with God started. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I can have a one-on-one connection with him. I don't have to go through a mediator.
Yes.
And just started really listening to his voice and trying to be obedient to what he was telling me.
Yeah.
Um, so fast forward to December of 22. I always plan my year.
I love it.
I'm a planner,
That
but
fits
don't.
right in with what we got going on.
And looking back on that whole certification,
Yeah.
it's in God's plan that I didn't follow through with where I was going, because
Yeah.
that's not where he wanted me. And I had that, feeling that this is not quite right. Something's missing, I guess is what I would say. And so December of 22, I'm trying to plan things, going through emails, and I kept dumping this Juliana page, Courage Co, in my email dump. Um, and
Oh my gosh.
but at the same time was praying, God, please give me community. Please send someone to mentor me. I want to
Oh
do
my God.
life with you, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So one day I finally read your email and went, oh, thank you, God. It was like you were speaking to me, everything I wanted. But of course, being a new believer, I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to pray about this.
Mhm.
So please help me decide, do I do this? Because it was about God's Vibes Mastermind. Didn't know
Yeah.
what Courage Co was, didn't really know, didn't even look. I'm just like, do I sign up for this? What do
Yeah.
I do? I've paid money for self-help stuff
Yeah.
and never followed through. So is this another thing I'm just going to do? Please, God, help me.
Yeah.
And it was like, I heard him say, I am helping you. I've been giving you this. You've been dumping it in the garbage. Why are you stuck praying? Don't take time. This is your answered prayer. Well, of course, I then signed up
Oh my God.
and I got into God's Vibes Mastermind, which, then going through that was just amazing. Just getting a closer relationship with God, having community of Courage Co, meeting all you wonderful women,
Yeah.
and having you as my mentor.
Yeah.
We did one-on-one coaching, and I'm like, this is the coaching that I need to be in.
Mm.
Which then at that time, it was like, okay, my certification was coming with the other coaching that I was, had signed up for. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, God, do I sign up for this again, pay money? I kind of know which way I'm going. And then you're like, wait, launching the Spirit Driven Success Life Coaching Program. And I'm like, oh, I'm so far, so in.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I needed.
It's
So
amazing.
that
It's
is
amazing. And it's so interesting how that's timed, because it's I joke in the community like I'm not this good, right? Like I can't know these synchronicities that God just perfectly orchestrates. It's all him, right? So I'm just intending on being obedient, but then it's also so much more, right? So tell me what has happened now that you're like, oh, this is what I wanted. Like I've wanted to coach, I've wanted to do it with God, with the Holy Spirit at the center. I've never seen that before. This is not, you know, coaching that I've seen in the world. This is not Christian life coaching. Like this is different. So tell me what started happening when you actually got in there.
Oh, well, first off, it's really with the God's Vibes Mastermind, you're going internally, with
Yes.
your relationship, but this even goes deeper.
Mm.
And you can't really coach people if you don't know who you are and where you are and whose you are. And so it just deepened my level of intimacy with God
Mm.
and made me aware of how my life has been orchestrated and how I got here, and all the trials that I've been through brought me to this place in time.
Yeah.
And just having that knowledge of myself, the deep inner self, and what I'm passionate about and what I want to do, and that I can't do it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to have God first and foremost.
Mm-hmm. And the neat thing too is something that this program creates is you're not even doing it on your own, like with God, but then you have peer coaching, you've got a peer group, you've got mentor coaching, like we've got group calls every single week, right? So what is it like in terms of the experience, right? 'Cause there is a lot of content and a lot of training that you guys go through. It's almost like an accelerator,
Yes,
right? But it is
definitely.
designed for somebody that has been in self-development for a long time, right? So they've seen this before, so they're kind of wanting like a quicker accelerated journey. So it's designed with that in mind. Some certified already. So for any aspiring coach or existing coach, it's like, how do you hone it and then also accelerate at the same time? So explain what that's been like, because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know, it's a lot of information. But what's it been like for you?
It is a lot of information, but the way you present it and everything is you just build on it. When I did the other certification, there's really, yes, there's help, but not that mentor, one-on-one. It's
Mhm.
you're basically a number and you're kind of floundering.
Mhm.
And just having the others in the group that you can bounce ideas off, you
Yes.
can, get feedback, give feedback.
Yes.
And yes, it's accelerated, but in such a good way.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yes, I feel behind, but you're where you're supposed to be, and you can only receive so much
Mhm.
of what God wants you to hear.
Yeah. So true.
And yeah. And so it's very timely almost every time I go to look at, a video or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, I needed to hear that. And
Yeah.
just doing the process and everything. You're not going to get it all at once, but
Mhm.
just the nuggets that I've gotten are so much more than any just life coach or whatever.
Yeah. That's amazing. And then you guys have been, I call it like being in the hot seat, right? Like you guys are doing presentations in front of each other and like, you know what I mean? Like, so you guys are actually doing a lot of experiential work. So what is that part like too? Because it does stretch you. It's so great. Like you all are getting exposed to the same content, the same information, but you're all presenting it differently and you all have very different desires and ways that you want to bring it into the world. So what's it been like for you to be in a space now where it's resonating with you and you've got a community that's rooting for you and you get space to practice and try on these new skills?
It really brings out the confidence in me of showing my true personality.
Love.
We all are learning the same stuff, but we all have such different personalities, and just seeing, everybody just comfortable with showing their true personalities.
Yes.
It's like I can be who I am with you guys and walk out in the world and be that person,
Yes.
because in the world, you're molded. Like, I'm a mother, I'm a this, I'm a that. And a lot of the way I show up, or used to show up, I should say,
Yeah.
was who I felt people expected me to be.
Mm,
And now I can just be who I truly am, who God created me to be,
yeah.
and have that Susie Q personality
Yes.
instead of Susan.
You're like, I'm not Susan, I'm Susie Q. There's a big difference. And that makes such a difference. I want to go back to this beautiful nugget that you dropped, right? Like you can't coach when you don't know whose you are and who you are and what you're called to, right? Like you really can't, you can kind of spew information and you can spur people along in that, but it's totally different when you know those things at your core and you're fully being the authentic expression, the uniqueness of God through you in the world. Like something different starts happening, right? There's like a different kind of ripple in the world from that. So I'm curious, I can only imagine that this is setting off or stirring up this dream or desire that you have to go into the world with this. So tell me what's been coming forth in terms of vision and what's next.
Oh, first, well, I do want to launch my spirit-driven coaching and just help women. So I'm mature in
Good
age,
word choice. Youthful and mature. I love it.
have experienced a lot in my life and transitioned from one thing, and I want to help, women understand whether they're 20, 30, 60,
Mm-hmm.
70, that they can change who they are into who they, deep down inside, who they
Yes.
God created them to be.
Yeah.
And whatever they're transitioning through, they don't have to be stuck in a mold.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I want to launch, a coaching business helping women do that.
Yeah.
And also understand that. So I've ran 2 marathons.
Yes.
Didn't start running and really out of high school until I was 48. And this morning I was thinking about that, and I haven't really ran much since COVID because everything was canceled. But I'm like, okay, what did I really accomplish? Well, from 48 to 58, basically,
Mm-hmm.
I ran a lot of races. I accomplished a lot, and I had the dream and the passion. And then with other things, I've had a lot of dreams, but if you don't have action, your dreams are just dreams.
Yeah.
And I want to help women, find that dream with God's help.
Mm-hmm.
What is your passion?
Yes.
And then carry it through
Come on.
in a spirit-driven, way with
Yeah.
God as the center, God steering you and finding your spirit-driven purpose in life.
Oh my gosh, I love you're making me. So my thought is right because and maybe this is common too, but it's like the world will define success in so many ways. Like you think success is, I don't know, going to college and getting a career that you stay in until you retire, right? Or you think that it's being married at this age or having this many kids or living in this type of house or having this car, having this bank account or whatever. Like the world will put like this is when you're successful and this is when you're not. And then there's all of these ways to get to success, like hustle culture, comparing yourself to other people, taking shortcuts. I'm just thinking about things on the internet now. A lot of it's just basically promising money with no experience, right? That's a lot of what's out in the world.
Yeah.
So to me, this success was something that didn't seem like what you pursue, right? Like this pursuit of happiness even, or this pursuit of success only sets you up to be miserable, right? Because it's almost at the beginning, you believe that you don't have it. Now you're just trying to chase it. And that's never how you actually arrive at anything.
Right.
Like a picture of this is, do you ever catch a butterfly by chasing it?
No.
Never, right? Like usually like when you're aligned, it just comes and lands on you and kind of catches you by surprise. Like that's sort of the difference in terms of like a feeling. But spirit-driven success to me was if I could like partner with God and delight his heart or talk to him about what he defines success as, what is that? Right. And like he defines the outcome. So I can't tell you that like this is what the outcome looks like or like this is when you're successful. But to me, faithfulness or obedience, that is success. So I'm curious to you how you define success now after all of this maturity.
First, just having a very intimate relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And and having comfort in that.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing, being comfortable in my relationship with God, which then um, uh, success would be for other people to see that in me. Just, knowing, having that peace and comfort, even through the trials, because we're always going through trials. And just basically personifying that deep relationship and letting others see it and loving others as God sees them.
Yeah.
That's when, whether they're successful in the world, poor in the world, or whatever, God created each one of us, and just loving them as God sees them.
Yeah. Love. So good. What would you say so far? There's still so much more goodness that you get to like step into here soon. What would you say so far, like your top 3 or maybe even your biggest lesson so far?
One of my biggest lessons was that God is powerful enough to change our circumstances.
Yeah.
God is powerful enough not only to change our circumstances, but to change us from the inside out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, we can try to change our circumstances, but if our internal isn't in alignment with God,
yes,
it's not going to happen or even be easy or,
totally.
anything like that.
Totally.
And yeah, and that Jesus's love for us is greatest when we share it with others. So part of the coaching is sharing what I've learned in, my love, learning about Jesus' love for me and sharing that with everyone else.
Yeah. So good. So good. Because I'm thinking about too, right? Like God, it's not that he doesn't care about our circumstances, he does, but he cares more about who we're becoming and who we're being in the world first, right? Like, do we look like him, right? Like, how is your heart? Like, these are actually very real things. A lot of times we live in a world that's only thinking about your mind, but you're not even getting to your heart, which is where all the issues are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think God starts there.
Yes.
Man is always looking at all this stuff out here, but God goes straight to your heart and you're like, oh, but it says, right, in Philippians, it says that he gives us the will and desire to do what pleases him. So we don't even have to do that. Like when you think about like, oh, I just don't have any motivation, like God gives you the will and the desire to do what pleases him. So not only does he show you what that is, but then he gives you the will and desire to do it. I think that that's so powerful. I don't know any self-help that's ever promised me that. Right? Like when you think about self-work, you're like, oh God, like what do I have to go explore? There's probably gonna be a dark night of the soul people talk a lot about, right? Or like all these dark things that I'm gonna have to go through. But with God, it's like he illuminates our darkness, right? He keeps bringing us into freedom and wholeness as we trust in him, right? And he leads us straight into the good plans. We don't have to figure that out.
Right.
Just trust.
Yes. It's like that God gives you the desires of your heart. Mm-hmm. I used to think about that. I'm like, why are you not giving me what I want?
Yeah.
And then going through all this and then having more intimate relationship with God, it's like he's changed those desires to be, what he desires for us. And so then it makes it so much, he does give you the desires of your heart when they're in alignment with his desires, which, is a spirit desire, not a worldly desire.
Yeah, right. Because it says in the word too, the heart is wicked and deceitful. Who can trust it? So sometimes, right, when you don't have a new heart, you're not like a born again believer. You don't have this new heart that God puts in you that he talks about in Ezekiel, right? That heart will lead you into things that look good, but in the end leads to destruction. And that's not God's heart or intention for you. Like he's not open to you having unnecessary suffering and pain. That's not the agenda. The devil will do that to you, but that's not God's plan, right? So we don't know a lot of times what our desires are leading us to, or even if they're these pure desires. A lot of times trauma can have desires that can have us moving in a certain direction. Pain can have us moving in a certain direction. The desire to avoid pain have you like, you know what I mean? Pursuing all sorts of interesting things. So when God finally purifies that, then you can move towards things and have a healthy relationship with them where they're not oppressors or an idol in some kind of way.
Yes.
So good.
So
So good.
true.
I love it. So what are you most looking forward to? And then what advice do you have for somebody that is considering investing in themselves in this way, whether they want to be a certified life coach or not, whether they just want these life skills? Because I believe everyone should get certified just to be a human, honestly. But what is it that you're most looking forward to, and what advice do you have for somebody thinking about this?
Just still growing our connection in this community. And if you haven't gotten to Courage Co, as you say,
Yes.
what are you
What are you
doing?
doing? Yeah. Well, they can connect with you in Courage Go. You lead Mondays, dailies with Jesus, right? So now you went from not even being able to talk about God to talking about him every day, which is great.
Yeah. which seems, it was not that long ago.
Yeah.
It really just, I had such a breakthrough when I got to meet you guys in Texas, y'all.
Yes. Yes. In person.
And just coming back from that, just was so amazing that it's like, okay, I really got to talk about God. And for me at that point, it was like, I got to do a podcast. And it just made me like kind of sick to my stomach thinking about it. And I had the, opportunity to do the dailies with Jesus, which, I'm talking about God every Monday morning.
Yeah.
And on Courage Co.
Yeah.
And for advice for people, like you said, even if you're not pursuing a sort of life coaching business, it is so much more than that, where you can see people different. You see relationships, conversations. I've been able to have harder conversations with, God in the center, and seeing other people, how God sees them, and just being able to, what we say, flip the script, not having bad words, but thinking, okay, where are they coming from? And just being able to, even ask the question, okay, why are you feeling that? Or can you explain that a little bit more so that I can understand? Or just reiterating what they're saying back to them so that we are communicating and understanding each other.
Yeah.
So just being able to do that, is so worth the whole 6 months of the process.
Just the whole investment.
Still looking forward to the rest.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. So good. I just feel so inspired by your journey. Like literally it's been accelerated, right? But you've been doing the work. So I think that's a testament to, if you give God a year of your life, or if you give God just a little bit of time, he can maximize that time. He can break things off of you that you could not figure out for years of your life. He can accelerate you into these desires and these dreams that you have, and put the right people, the right tools, the right resources, the right support around you to actually enjoy the journey. Like it's truly amazing. So I just want to honor you and your process of showing up and loving with your entire heart, and just letting God get in there and do a work, right? And literally transform you from the inside out. You're not the same person in the best ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the other SDS members said in a podcast a while back was something to do with, if you want God to take, or if you want to make major changes, you have to take God seriously.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I give you God bumps.
Yeah.
Like, was I on that with them? Like, what happened? That's good.
It really just sticks to me. It resonates with me, because it's like on days when I'm like, I really just don't want to do the Bible. I really just, want my brain to not think. I'm like, okay, am I taking this serious? Am I taking God serious? And he's done so much for me. How can I not give him,
Amen.
my time?
Yeah. And like now you've learned, like if he leads you to something, who are you not to invest in him and trust that he'll provide everything that you've been praying for, right? Like it's like you can't not move in what he shows you now.
Yeah.
You could, like, but you won't have peace about it.
I'm not that little kitten that's hanging from the
Yeah.
little pole and like
Yeah.
not wanting to let go.
God's like, just release, it gets better.
I'm coming to him with open hands.
Yes. And he is withholding nothing. Like he's withholding nothing. Like he's pouring out his goodness, his glory, everything upon you right now. So
Yeah,
good.
it is. So good. So much easier.
So much easier. Agreed, right? They'll say choose your hard, but while it's hard to go within, while it's hard to create space and time, like your return on investment is far greater than anything you could ask or imagine, for sure.
It's definitely, I wouldn't say so much easier, but more peaceful going through hard things.
Yes. So good. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on God's Vibes and sharing about your experience. This has been such a joy.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Listen, if you are not plugged into Courage Co yet, what are you doing? Courage Co is a faith-based community off social media that you can access from your phone or your desktop, literally from anywhere. It is a safe place and a sacred space for you to invest in and live your most courageous and impactful story. You can join us for free for prayer calls and challenges, for a monthly subscription where we have monthly masterclasses, or the God's Vibes Mastermind, where you will get live master life coaching at a price that you won't get anywhere else. 12 weeks of content that we will go through together, or you can navigate at your own pace. You'll have lifetime access to that. A community of women doing this alongside of you, a workbook, and so many other materials to help you on your journey. And I just want you to imagine for a second, having the courage, clarity, and focus to achieve anything you desire. Walking into any situation fully confident, knowing you have everything you need to succeed. Embracing challenges and overcoming obstacles with grace and ease. Feeling only love and compassion for others, no matter how they may have hurt you in the past. Standing up for what you believe in and taking unstoppable action to create the kind of world you want to live in. You're in the right place to take your next step on your journey. When you plug into the God's Vibes Mastermind, I'll teach you how to identify and eliminate the self-limiting beliefs and habits that are stopping you from getting the results you want. I'll teach you how to heal old wounds that have negatively impacted your self-image and self-esteem for far too long. I'll show you how to dismantle the story of who you are and what you can or cannot do in the world. I'll help you expand your consciousness from fear-based limitation to love and compassion and service to the world. I'll help you vanquish the inner enemies that are stopping you from being all that you can be. Release your victimhood and reclaim your power. Develop a aligned mindset and habits to boost your productivity and results. Gain deeper awareness of your own inner light and divinity, and achieve the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self-mastery needed to achieve any goal. You will learn how to think the way God formed, shaped, and anointed you to think, and succeed the way He always intended, and show up in any situation as the most powerful person in the room, no matter what challenges might appear on your path. If this sounds like something that you want to be a part of, I want to invite you to join the God's Vibes Mastermind. You can get plugged into it over at Courage Co. You can access Courage Co at any level at www.courageco.org. Together, we will awaken your inner warrior spirit and unleash your capacity to achieve any goal you can imagine. You will become an example of what's possible with God.